Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, everybody. This is The Lamp. It has been a while since I've recorded, and I just wanted to get back on this train because I definitely went through a little spot of laziness right there. I just, God was telling me to do it, and I just was taking advantage of the life that I've been given. And so God has reaffirmed me that I need to be doing this. So, today we are going to be talking about how envy destroys joy. And envy is something that I struggle with a lot. And envy can span from a lot of things. I feel like a lot of people, when they hear the word envy, they think of just envying like clothes or someone else's job or someone else's house or their car or whatever it may be, but it can root so much further. It actually says in Proverbs 14:30, "A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones." And that's a very interesting way that they said that, is because peace gives life to the body, the whole body, the whole body. But envy rots the bones, and that is the deepest part of your body. And that is the most structurally important part of your body. And so what this is saying is that it rots you to your very core. And so envy can be something such as, I want your car, and I really want your car, and that's all you ever think about. And I mean, it's one thing to see a car and think it looks nice. There's one thing to see a car and be like, oh, that car would be nice to drive. And then there's another thing to see a car and be like, I have to have that car. And I don't like that person because they have that car. And I mean, maybe you're not a car person, maybe you're a house person. You have a humble 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, and you see someone with a mansion, and you're like, I don't like that person because they have such a big, nice house, and I have to live in this house. It can span from many things. Mine is I have very big problems with lust, and that spills over into envy of other women that aren't my wife. And so I envy other people's wives, I envy other people's girlfriends, and I constantly have to pray to ask God to change my heart because of that envy, because of this desire that I have in me. And I actually have a lot of envy for a lot of my friends who aren't in Christ, and they go around sleeping with a lot of women. And that's how I used to live. And I'm changed, but my flesh still wants to live that way. And in Psalms 37:1, it actually says, "Don't worry about the wicked or envy those who do wrong." And that is it speaks out to me, because all too often I envy those who do wrong. I envy those people who get money in ungodly ways. And I envy those people who are able to sleep around with everyone because they've rejected Christianity. And I know that that's not a very good thing to have. But I just want to put out there the fact that envy is so much deeper than just like monetary things. It's so much deeper than just belongings. It can root itself into every single part of your life, and that's what it has done to me because I've let it live so long. And it's been rotting my bones, but now I need to ask for the peace of God to restore my body. And then also this envy comes with another verse, James 3:14-16. "But if you have bitter envy and selfish ambition in your heart, don't brag and deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. For where envy and selfish ambition exist, there is disorder and every kind of evil." And I've noticed that once I start looking at other people and really giving into those thoughts of, I wish I could be doing what you're doing, or I want to do what you're doing, and not appreciating and being thankful for and being joyful about the life that God has given me. I have an amazing wife who has forgiven me for cheating on her multiple times. I have a house. I have 2 kids who are healthy and have no health issues at all, and they're very obedient. I have 2 cars. I have everything that a person my age could possibly want, and I am quite young. And I have everything that a person my age could possibly want, and yet I still pine after the other things of this world because I let envy root itself into me. And so this is both to let the people who have already let envy rooted into themselves, to let them know that there is hope and that they're not alone. But it's also to warn anyone who has not yet done that, don't do it. It just sucks the joy out of life. How are you supposed to be happy if you always want something more? How are you supposed to ever be content with what you have and be joyful with what you have if you always want what someone else has? There's no way. There's no possible way to be content with what you have and also want what someone else has. In an envious way, at least. And for some people, envy is a driving source, but still, that's not a godly source, and God will give you the drive for the things that He wants you to do. For instance, my wife is of different nationality, and her family speaks a different language. And for the longest time, I tried to go after learning that other language for selfish ambition. And this is back when I was living ungodly, which will explain what I'm about to say. But I was thinking about it like, if I ever meet another woman of this nationality, like I could conversate with her and possibly flirt with her, and all these different things, or I could find friends of this other nationality and be able to talk to more people, or I could become more of an asset in my career field. But in the end, none of that drove me to actually learn this language. But now that I've sought God about learning the language, He has given me the drive to consistently go after it, and actually I've learned a good bit. But let's go on to the fact that envy causes you not to love. You can't love someone and be envious at the same time, because in 1 Corinthians 13:4 it says, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. So if love does not envy, then you cannot be envious and loving at the same time, and God calls us to love God and love people. And how are we supposed to love people if we're envying them? So this last verse that I have is Exodus 20:17. It is, do not covet your neighbor's house, do not covet your neighbor's wife, his male or female slave, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. And Jesus actually says in the Bible, one of the Pharisees was asking him about who is his neighbor, because he was probably thinking, well, let's see how many people I need to treat as in this way that God is saying. And God says everyone is your neighbor. Jesus says everyone is your neighbor. The person down the street, the person the next state over, the person in another country, everyone is your neighbor. And so you should not covet anyone's belongings, anyone's family, anyone's relationships. And we are called to love them. And we should desire to get to know them through love. But we shouldn't desire to get to know anybody for selfish ambition. Say, Jesus actually used a parable to explain it. He was talking about how if you were having pretty much a dinner party, and someone came through the door with gold on, silver on, really nice clothes, shows up in a very fancy car, and you give him a seat, but another guy shows up and he's real dirty, probably just got off of working a really low-paying job, hasn't quite showered yet, maybe doesn't have the nicest car, doesn't have the nicest clothes on either, and you tell him to sit in the corner, then you are being ungodly and unloving and you're being unloving to both of those people, because you are giving the more wealthy person the seat because you want to get to know them better, to possibly get something out of that relationship, where you are being unloving to the non-wealthy person by just simply not caring about them because they can't give you anything. And love does not love does not expect anything. Love is not given so that you can get something back. Love is given as a choice, just as joy is a choice. And happiness is an emotion. Infatuation is emotion. But love is a choice. Anyway, I've kind of gotten way off subject here. But, so, pretty much to sum up, because I've kind of gone all over the place in this sermon, envy rots your bones. It will destroy all the joy in your life. And when you envy, you cannot love others. And God has told us to love others. He specifically instructed us to love others and to love all of our neighbors. That being said, if you find yourself envying, personally, the best way I've found to deal with it is in that moment, pray to God. Some people don't understand how that translates into real life, because a lot of people are used to the closing your eyes, bowing your head whenever you pray. And it is very good to pray that way. It is very, very good to pray that way, but understand that God wants a very father-child relationship with us. He wants to be very close with us. And I don't think you'd be extremely formal every time you talk to your father, unless you were raised with a father who expects that kind of thing. But it's okay to, every once in a while you're driving down the street, if you see a car that's nicer, be like, hey God, I'm feeling tempted right now. I really want that car, but I know that it's not of you. Please put it in my heart to have love for others and not envy their belongings. It's as simple as that. And just constant reminders. It may not come naturally at first, but the more you do it, the more it will be easy to continue it and to keep it going. And it really does help. It's helped me to really turn my life around, because I constantly ask God for help, and I've done none of this by myself. All of it is through the grace of God. Anyway, I hope that you all enjoyed this. I hope you got something from it. And as always, leave a comment. I'm going to be putting the email that I have in the description, so that if for whatever reason you want to email me, if I say something that you don't quite agree with and you want to discuss it, if I say something that you do agree with and you want to discuss it, or if you just want to say hi, feel free to email me there. I'll be checking it periodically, at least every other day. And then I hope to hear from you soon, and have a great day.